This week, gunfire erupts in a restaurant packed with patrons. Plus, a kidnapping attempt in Bushwick is thwarted. And a new tool is unveiled to help New Yorkers fight the city's opioid crisis.
It should be easily accessible to everyone we know and love in New York.
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. We begin this week in Queens, where the NYPD are looking for the man who opened fire inside a crowded Astoria restaurant.
According to the owner of a business, yesterday's shooting inside a restaurant in Astoria, Queens appears to have been a targeted attack. Surveillance video shows the suspect in a red hoodie walk into Boshaki restaurant on 36th Avenue near 29th Street and then opened fire. The apparent target narrowly escaped the bullets. The owner tells Fox 5 this was the second attack by the same suspect in just 3 days at her business.
If police, they took some kind of, step in that time, he wouldn't be that much aggressive the way he came yesterday.
The previous attack occurred Wednesday. A man wielding a baseball bat struck a victim before other restaurant workers intervened and wrestled that suspect to the ground.
Then, in Washington Heights, 3 men are arrested in the drive-by shooting death of a 66-year-old.
3 men are under arrest and charged in connection with a fatal drive-by shooting that took place in Washington Heights. Police say Raheem Steed, Jonadell Lacard, and Kelwin Sanchez are facing several charges, including murder. They're accused of shooting Rita Gergis in the head. It happened on May 25th in front of a deli on West 162nd Street. Police say the 66-year-old victim was an innocent bystander who had just arrived from Egypt to see his son and daughter-in-law who are expecting a baby.
Moving to the Bronx, a fight in the subway ends with a man pushed onto the tracks.
A man was pushed onto the subway tracks during a fight in the Bronx early this morning. Police say it happened at the southbound B&D train's 174th Street station on Grand Concourse and Mount Eden Avenue. Police say the victim was intoxicated at the time, got into a fight with another man. That fight ended up in the man getting pushed onto the tracks. He's now in the hospital in stable condition. The suspect ran off and no arrests have been made.
Next in Brooklyn, a bus driver was attacked and doused in lighter fluid.
The search is on for a suspect wanted in an attack on an MTA bus driver in Brooklyn. Police say the man seen in the surveillance video, the images here, stayed on the bus B44 after it was taken out of service in Prospect Lefferts Garden on Saturday. When the driver approached him, police say the suspect punched the 57-year-old driver repeatedly and then doused him in lighter fluid and ran off. The driver was rushed to the hospital in stable condition. If you recognize this guy, call Crime Stoppers. The number is 1-800-577-TIPS.
Heading back over to Queens now, and the scene of yet another subway shoving.
An 18-year-old woman suffered minor injuries after being pushed onto the subway tracks. This happened out in Queens yesterday morning at 75th Street and Eldert's Lane Station in Woodhaven. The woman missed the 3rd rail and reportedly managed to climb back onto the platform on her own. Police say a female suspect is in custody this morning. No word at this time as to exactly what may have led up to this incident.
Over on West Houston, police are searching for the suspects in a string of robberies across the city.
The NYPD needs your help in finding 4 men they say took part in a series of robberies in Manhattan. The first of 4 incidents took place on Sunday, April 30th at a business on 9th Avenue. The most recent was Tuesday, May 23rd at a store on West Houston Street. In total, investigators say the suspects made off with almost $20,000 in cash and merchandise. No one was injured in all 4 robberies, but if you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. That number, 800-577-TIPS.
Returning to Brooklyn, police have arrested the suspect in an attempted kidnapping of a 7-year-old.
Police did make an arrest in the attempted kidnapping of a 7-year-old girl out in Brooklyn. Felipe Rodriguez is facing charges in the May 26th incident on Wyckoff Avenue in Bushwick. According to investigators, the 28-year-old ran up to the girl and her mother while they were standing in front of a food truck. Police say he tried to grab that girl, but her mother fought him off. Then Rodriguez ran away. The girl was not hurt. He is charged with attempted kidnapping.
Staying in Brooklyn, the city's hoping these machines can help curb its opioid crisis.
every 3 hours, according to city data, a victim dies from overdose across New York City, which is why the city is installing these vending machines with free tools to help prevent another catastrophe, giving a potential victim a life-saving chance.
This is a real practical step in our fight against the overdose crisis.
Monday, the city unveiled its first naloxone vending machine, a part of its Care, Community, and Action Health Plan released months ago. Data shows 2023 on track to be the city's highest year of overdoses ever. And this is one new tool giving New Yorkers a shot to take control in scenarios that often have already spun out of control.
We have a rising tide of fentanyl, and now we have other substances entering our drug supply, which is really putting us behind the 8 ball.
The goal behind placing the vending machines out in public is to meet people where they are, literally giving them access to life-saving tools. When using the machine, you enter the zip code, press pound, and select whichever Narcan kit fits the scenario. That kit comes with instructions, and within seconds,
all right, so this is a Narcan kit.
A potential crisis subdued. These vending machines are located in neighborhoods that data show are hardest hit by overdoses and the opioid crisis.
It shouldn't be luck or privilege that gets you into services. It should be easily accessible to everyone we know and love in New York.
Dr. Rebecca Lynn Walton, with Services for the Underserved, knows the importance of that access from her own personal experience.
I know that I'm here because I received 21 years ago life-saving services myself because of a loving family and a community that got me into recovery.
This is an important arrow in our quiver. It's not the only thing, it's not the be-all, end-all solution, but it is an important tool that says to New Yorkers, hey, we are going to bring the tools to save lives to you.
And finally, leaving the city, a bill that would give convicted criminals a second chance could soon become law in New York.
That's the latest out of Albany and the final days of the New York State legislative session.
All right, one bill that's expected to pass by the end of the week is the so-called Clean Slate Act, which would seal a person's criminal record after a certain number of years to make it easier for them to get housing and a job.
Fox 5's Morgan Mackay joins us now with the details. And Morgan, some last-minute changes were made to this bill to drum up more support for it. Can you walk us through some of those?
Steve and Natasha, advocates have been pushing to get this bill passed for years now, and it did pass in the state Senate last year, but stalled in the state assembly. Now the rumor up in Albany is that a deal could be close. It has the support of the business community, but district attorneys are pushing back.
So there are 2.3 million New Yorkers with old conviction records.
And many of these criminal convictions would be sealed after a certain number of years if the New York State Legislature passes the Clean Slate Act. Katie Schaefer with Community Alternatives says this bill would give people with criminal records better access to housing, education, and jobs.
Those roadblocks between people who have served their time and real opportunities to get back on their feet is partially what contributes to recidivism rates.
Here is a breakdown. Misdemeanor convictions would be sealed after 3 years. Felony convictions would be sealed after 8 years, as long as someone is off parole and has no new charges or convictions. There are exceptions, such as sexual offenses and some Class A felonies, such as murder. Another exception would be for people applying to jobs with law enforcement or with vulnerable populations. This includes schools. But Tony Jordan, president of the New York State District Attorneys Association, says this process takes discretion away from judges.
The person with the conviction, shouldn't they have to make some showing that I've made an effort to improve my life?
Jordan says that the organization is in support of a law that passed in 2017 that allows people to apply to have the records sealed. But Jordan says automatically sealing records could have numerous unintended consequences.
There is no cap on the number of felonies that you get to have sealed.
This bill has a wide range of supporters from the business community, including the Business Council of New York, J.P. Morgan Chase, and more. However, the bill expressly writes that businesses will not be held liable.
If we're not concerned that something could happen, then why is there a need to remove liability? I think it's highly problematic, and I have no doubt it will cause more victims.
Now, the Clean Slate Act, if passed, would also allow people with sealed convictions to sue someone if they disclose their criminal record if they are harmed as a result.
And that's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.